Almost there. Now we're live on both. All right. So we're going over questions from questions@chalmerswellness.com. I've gotten lots of questions about diet and calories in, calories out, that type of thing. So we're going to go over that again. The primary question is, when I say that calories in, calories out is a flawed model, does that mean I'm telling you that you can eat everything you want as much as you want? No, that's obviously stupid. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to illustrate is that proteins and carbohydrates are not equal. They do not work the same way in the body. The problem we get into with a lot of the calories in, calories out people is a lot of these guys are health influencers or they're fitness people, and their primary market is people who need to lose weight. And they do really well with people who need to lose like 15 to 20 pounds. And they don't do so well with people who need to lose 50 or 60 pounds. And so they tell those people who can't lose the weight when they're 50, 60 pounds overweight that that they're not working the program, that they're not doing it right, they're cheating, they're lying, whatever, and they ostracize all the endomorphs. Now, there's a lot of mesomorphs who are 50, 60 pounds overweight because they're just slobs, and they do okay with those guys. The problem is that they never see the guys who can't gain weight. Why? Because they're trying to help people lose weight. So if you have no body fat and no muscle, why would you call somebody whose goal is to help you lose body fat? You don't have any body fat. You don't have any fat at all. You don't want to lose any of it. You don't want to lose any weight. So you never call those people. So what ends up happening is that those trainers never recognize that there's a whole 30% of the population, 20 to 40, call it 30% of the population, who are ectomorphs, who can't gain weight because of the way their body chemistry works. What they do see is the 30 to 40% of the population where when you restrict any fuel source, their body can switch back and forth so quickly that it doesn't matter. You restrict any fuel source and they lose fat. They lose quite a bit of muscle too, because nobody dexes people, but they lose weight because your goal isn't fat loss. Their goal is weight loss. Step on the scale goes down, pay me. That's their whole model. Which is, if anybody who knows anything about bodybuilding, a lot of the bodybuilders weigh 20, 30 pounds more because and they're not fat. They have a lot more muscle and fat before shows. And when they cut, they lose a giant amount of fat and a giant amount of muscle because they're basically starving themselves because they're working on the calories in, calories out model. Now, this doesn't work very well for the endomorphs, the 20 to 40% of the population who, like myself, who store really, really well and their bodies are very, very efficient. And so their body holds onto a bunch of fat. You have to understand the chemistry in order to get the guys who can't gain muscle or the people who can't lose fat to work right. Remember, the can't gain muscle people, these guys, they try to help you lose fat guys, don't even know exist. So all they see is this section. Well, they tell the really fat people that they're just not working hard enough, they're lying, they're cheating, they kick them out of their system, or they just ostracize them until they leave. And then the people who are basically the mesomorphs do really well with these guys because that's how their body works. Now, if you're trying to get the entire spectrum and help everybody, you have to, I don't know why Instagram always decides, I don't know why Instagram always decides that even I have full bars and full everything that's pausing for my internet connection. Nobody else does. I think it's interesting, but whatever. Instagram just paused out. It does this all the time when I'm doing my daily check-ins. So what we end up seeing is that since they don't see all these people, they just think that calories in, calories out works for everybody because the group of people that they have the best success with, it worked for. Well, I can understand that, but you also understand how chemistry works. So if you're trying to get the guys who can't gain muscle to gain muscle, you have to give them a very different diet than you're trying to have people lose weight. And it's not just more calories. You have to dig into the chemistry. It's a higher sugar functional content. So it's a totally different conversation. But the middle guys restrict any fuel source and they're fine. You have to get the guys who are really fat and endomorphs into a system where their body is just burning fat. Then you have to restrict the fat that they bring in so that they can start burning everything off. Now, here brings up a whole nother concept. And this is why I get so pissy. Just because you cut out what someone's eating doesn't mean that they're going to be healthy and lose fat. This is the problem we have with the medical community right now, who have no idea how the body works, and they're giving everybody Ozempic. I had a lady come in yesterday, and she was like, sorry, I haven't been here in 2 weeks, but I got colitis, and she's like, it's ruined a bunch of stuff and messed up my life. And I was like, how long have you been on Ozempic? And she looked at me and she's like, how'd you know I was on Ozempic? And I was like, because I know you're diabetic and you had colitis. And she was like, my doctor didn't even know that was a problem with Ozempic. And I'm like, that's one of the major problems with Ozempic is that it causes colitis, causes bowel function to stop, causes all sorts of muscle wasting issues. So your metabolism actually drops, your bone density starts taking a hit, ligament and tendon ruptures, all kinds of stuff because you're starving yourself. Your body needs more than calories. If you're going to go on a calories model, it needs vitamins and minerals and all sorts of electrolytes and all sorts of other chemicals. These are the nutrients. It's obvious that the medical doctors don't recognize these because they don't think they exist. That's their whole thing. That's why they tell you that supplements don't work. And that's why they tell you that, oh, you should have a better diet. What should be my better diet be, Mr. Medical Doctor? And they go, less calories and eat vegetables. Well done, guys. We gave you guys, when you guys took metabolic tools, you don't know how to use them and you're hurting people. That's exactly what's going on. So if you guys are on Ozempic, there's ways to do it where it's a lot safer. It's not ever risk-free, but it's a lot safer. I'd walk this person through. I was like, are you on extra collagen? Are you on extra methyl AB vitamins? Are you on extra CoQ10? She's like, no, they just told me to take my shot and I'd be fine. I'm like, well, that's a lie, but that's what they tell people. So that's the whole thing. So on the endomorph side, they can fast really well. In fact, a lot of them, I'd say 70% of my endomorphs, prefer to fast. Like I asked them, like, how important is breakfast to you? And they're like, I'll eat it, but it's more of a pain in the ass than anything else. Like, can I do a smoothie or something? That's what they always ask. I'm like, no, don't eat breakfast. Take some supplements, you'll be fine. They're like, oh, that makes life a little bit easier for me. I'm like, great. And we'll talk about it. And they're like, how's lunch? And they're like, well, I can get lunch in most of the time, but sometimes I forget. And they're like, my trainers told me that it wasn't working because I wasn't eating enough. And I'm like, so the calorie deficit people told you that since you weren't eating not enough calories, that's why you didn't lose weight. That sounds like logical reasoning to me. So that's the thing. So a lot of these endomorphs, like I have a lot of endomorphs who just fall into the, I have a lot of them who are 16.8 just out of the gate as far as fasting goes. And a lot of them can work down to 22.2 real easily. So their bodies work differently. The idea that everyone's body works exactly the same way, we all have exactly the same chemistry, the same diet. Like I write radically different diets, which is a funny thing because I have people keto diets where there's no carbs in it and no sugars, and I give people the exact opposite with really high sugars and really high carbohydrates because people have different bodies, they have different needs. So if people are, what happens with a lot of these guys is they have pre-programmed diet plans, right? So it's like chicken and rice, chicken and broccoli, this and that, and they just hand them out. Here you go, here you go. They literally type in the calories that they want, and it has a stack of diets for them. They're like, here are your diets, because everyone's body apparently works the same. Hormones aren't a thing. Insulin sensitivity isn't a thing. Testosterone's not a thing. Thyroid function's not a thing. Ghrelin and leptin aren't things. It's just calories. And so that's the irritation that I get into this is because, yeah, you're going to have success with 20 to 30% of the population, but you're now going to tell the other 60 to 80% of the population that they're messed up, their bodies are broken, no help for you. Sorry, everything's just, crappy for you because you don't work hard enough. And that's what everybody's being told. And then I end up seeing them, they body dysmorphia. I've seen people who are really, really bad, like close to, suicide and stuff like that, all sorts of eating disorders, because their doctors or their trainers or somebody told them that, they just weren't doing the plan right when they were. The amount of people I see who come in here and like, give me your food diary, and it looks great for a mesomorph. And I'm like, well, the reason you can't eat this is because the glycemic index is too high. And they're like, what's the glycemic index? And so we have to go through and have to educate them on how it goes. And that's the other piece, because if your trainer, if your doctor has truly worked with you properly, you shouldn't need them more than 30, maybe 45 days, because they should teach you how your body works and how to properly customize a diet that works for you. The way that I usually do it is I have to tell people, bring me your 10 favorite foods and bring me the 10 foods you never want to eat again. And we'll go through it. And then bring me a 5-day food diary of everything that you eat. So if you eat like a burrito, you had a tortilla, right? Where did the tortilla come from? Like, was it, where were you bought? Like just the brand name, okay? And then what'd you put in it? Did you put cheddar cheese? Where did you get the cheddar cheese? Did you get steak? Where did you get the steak? Like all the facts, all the nutritional facts. So we can look at seed oil function. We can look at, chemicals that are in your foods. We can look at the nutrition facts, the fats, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the whole deal. And then I can actually explain to you how you read these things. Because my goal is that after you've been with me for 30 days, you should never have to ask me how you put your diet together again, because you should know. You should just understand. Now, if there's some new food, if there's some weird thing like maltitol, and you're like, hey, it says no sugar, but it also says it has a glycemic function, what's going on with that? All right, like that's an obvious question. Or, hey, somebody's telling me that, even though blueberries has sugar in it, it's really sweet, I can eat them naturally and I'll be fine. Yeah. So like little things like that, but you should really understand, how do I make the decisions? How do I put together a food, a diet plan? How do I put together, a meal plan for me that I know that I can eat? Because that's the real key. Having to rely on somebody for what to eat, I don't think it's a great plan. I get it. Some people love that, but that's not the best. Like, you understand how to do it and you get a meal plan, that's fine. But at the end of the day, learning how to do it's really important. So that's kind of the whole thing. That sums up about 9 different questions that I've been getting on the calories in, calories out thing. So yeah, you still have to restrict your fats if you're in a fat oxidizing state, if you want to burn the fat off your body. It's just, again, that is math. If you burn 100 units of fat a day and you eat 100 units of fat, you're not going to burn any off your body. If you burn 100 units of fat off your body and you eat 60, you are going to burn some off the body. So that's just kind of how it works. But you have to get into a state where your body is burning fat. It's hilarious to me when people come in and they go, I want to lose fat. And I'm like, you told your dietitian, you told your trainer you want to lose fat? And they're like, yes. And they have like 30 or 40% of your diet in carbohydrates. And I'm like, you have to burn the carbohydrates before you can burn the fat. Did you tell your trainer you wanted to burn fat? And they're like, uh-huh. I'm like, why are they giving you so many carbohydrates? Carbohydrates and fat are both fuel sources, but your body prefers carbohydrates because it's going to burn the 100, whatever it is, grams of carbohydrates. Then it's going to burn some of your muscle tissue while it's switching over to burning fat. That's how the body works. So that's what's going on. So, because if you understand how the body works, you understand why people on Ozempic lose 40 to 50% of the weight they lose is muscle mass, which, by the way, is where your mitochondria are. So when you're trying to lose fat, guess what's burning the fat? The mitochondria that are in your muscles. So if you lose your muscle tissue, you're going to lose mitochondria, your body's metabolism is going to go to the floor, and you're going to start having issues, because guess what's going to happen next? It's going to start shutting down your gut. You're going to start having colitis. You're going to start having all sorts of gas issues. You're going to start having gastric issues, You're going to start having adrenal issues. You're going to start having dizziness issues, more ADD. You're just going to start falling apart. Joint pain, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, that's what happens when you starve yourself. I know, shocker. So, all right, if you guys have any more questions, send them to questions@chalmerswellness.com, and we'll get them knocked out. Thanks for your time.